Lyrical Ballads, William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor, Coleridge. Chapter 1. The Forest Speaks. Far away from big cities and busy streets, there was a small village. This village was not like other places. It was quiet, peaceful, and surrounded by a forest. The forest was very old. It had tall trees that reached high into the sky. Their branches touched each other, making the ground below dark and cool. There were green bushes, soft grass, and flowers everywhere. Birds sang songs all day long, and animals like rabbits, deer, and squirrels lived there. The forest was alive. It moved, breathed, and whispered secrets to those who listened. The villagers worked hard every day. They farmed the land, cooked food, and took care of their homes. Life was simple but good. Everyone knew everyone else. They shared stories, laughed together, and helped one another. But even though they were close, one person stood out. Her name was Lucy. Lucy was different from the others. She didn't spend much time in the village. Instead, she loved the forest. Every morning after the sun rose, Lucy would leave her home and walk into the woods. She walked slowly, looking at everything around her. She stopped to touch the leaves on the trees. She bent down to smell the flowers. She listened to the birds singing. Sometimes she even talked to the animals. "Good morning, little bird," she would say. "Are you ready for the day?" Or, "Hello, squirrel. Do you have enough nuts for the winter?" The animals didn't answer, of course, but Lucy felt like they understood her. To her, the forest was not just a place. It was a friend that never left her side. The villagers noticed how much time Lucy spent in the forest. They thought it was strange. Most people stayed in the village or worked in the fields. No one went into the woods as often as Lucy did. One day, an old man named Thomas asked her, "Lucy, why do you always go to the forest? Don't you feel lonely there?" Lucy smiled softly. "No, I don't feel lonely," she said. "The forest is my friend." Thomas didn't understand. He shook his head and walked away. But Lucy didn't care what others thought. She knew the forest made her happy. It gave her peace. When she was there, she felt like she belonged. Every day, Lucy went deeper into the forest. She found new paths and hidden corners. She discovered streams where the water sparkled like diamonds. She saw rocks covered in moss and trees so big that 5 people couldn't wrap their arms around them. She learned the names of plants and animals. She watched how the sunlight changed colors when it passed through the leaves. She felt like the forest was teaching her things no one else could teach. Sometimes Lucy brought things back from the forest. She picked wildflowers and placed them in a vase on her table. She brought berries to share with the villagers. She told them, "These are gifts from the forest." But most people didn't care about the forest the way Lucy did. They thanked her for the berries but didn't ask questions about where she found them. One evening, as the sun set, Lucy sat by a stream in the forest. She dipped her fingers into the cool water and watched the ripples spread across the surface. She closed her eyes and listened. The wind rustled the leaves. The water flowed gently. Somewhere far away, an owl called. Lucy opened her eyes and smiled. "Thank you, forest," she whispered. "You make me happy." As days turned into weeks, Lucy became even closer to the forest. She started to feel like she understood its language. When the wind blew, it felt like the trees were talking to her. When the rain fell, it felt like the sky was crying. When the sun shone, it felt like the earth was smiling. Everything in the forest seemed alive, and Lucy felt connected to it all. But the villagers still didn't understand her. Some thought she was strange. Others thought she was wasting her time. "Why does she go to the forest every day?" they asked each other. "She should stay here and help us." Lucy heard their words. but she didn't let them bother her. She knew the forest was special. She knew it had something to teach her, and she wanted to learn as much as she could. One sunny afternoon, Lucy decided to explore a part of the forest she had never been to before. She followed a narrow path that twisted and turned between the trees. The air smelled fresh, and the ground was soft under her feet. As she walked, she noticed something unusual, a tree with strange markings on its trunk. The markings looked like letters, but they weren't from any alphabet Lucy had ever seen. "What is this?" Lucy wondered aloud. She ran her fingers over the markings. They felt rough and warm, as if they were alive. She stared at them for a long time, trying to understand their meaning. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't figure it out. Just then, she heard a sound behind her. It was soft, almost like a whisper. Lucy turned around, but no one was there. The forest was empty except for her. "Who's there?" she called out. Her voice echoed through the trees, but no one answered. Lucy wasn't scared. She felt curious instead. "Maybe the forest is trying to tell me something," she thought. She looked at the markings again and smiled. "I'll come back tomorrow," she said. "Maybe I'll understand then." When Lucy returned to the village that evening, she was excited. She wanted to tell someone about the markings on the tree. But when she looked at the villagers, she realized they wouldn't understand. They didn't care about the forest the way she did. So she kept her discovery to herself. That night, Lucy lay in bed thinking about the forest. She thought about the markings on the tree and the strange sound she had heard. She wondered what they meant. She also thought about the villagers. Why didn't they see the beauty of the forest? Why didn't they want to learn its secrets? As Lucy drifted off to sleep, she made a promise to herself. "I will keep learning about the forest," she thought. "Someday, maybe I can teach others to love it too." The next morning, Lucy woke up early. She was eager to return to the forest and see the mysterious tree again. But as she stepped outside, she noticed something unusual. A stranger was walking toward the village. He looked tired, and his clothes were dirty. His face was pale, and his eyes were heavy. He carried a small bag on his shoulder. The villagers gathered around him. "Who are you?" they asked. "Where do you come from?" The stranger smiled weakly. "I am a traveler," he said. "I have come a long way." "May I rest here for a while?" The villagers welcomed him. They gave him food and a place to stay. Lucy watched from a distance. She didn't know who the stranger was, but something about him caught her attention. He seemed different from the villagers. There was a calmness about him, like he understood things others didn't. Later that evening, the villagers sat around a fire. They listened to the stranger tell stories about faraway lands. Lucy joined them quietly. She didn't say much, but she listened carefully. The stranger spoke about mountains higher than clouds, rivers wider than the ocean, and forests bigger than theirs. His words painted pictures in Lucy's mind. She imagined herself standing on top of a mountain, looking at the world below. She imagined swimming in a river so wide she couldn't see the other side. She imagined walking through a forest so vast it stretched forever. When the stranger finished speaking, he looked at Lucy. "You are quiet," he said. "Do you like stories?" Lucy nodded. "Yes," she replied softly. "I like stories about nature." The stranger smiled. "You remind me of the forest, calm and beautiful." Lucy felt a warmth in her chest. For the first time, someone understood her. Someone saw her connection to the forest. That night, as Lucy lay in bed, she thought about the stranger. Who was he? Where had he come from? And why did he seem to understand her so well? Little did she know, the stranger's arrival would change everything, for her, for the villagers, and for the forest itself. Chapter 2. A New Face. The next morning, the stranger stayed in the village. He didn't leave like other travelers usually did. Instead, he walked around, looking at the houses, the fields, and the people. The villagers were curious about him. They wanted to know more about his life and where he came from. "Why are you here?" one villager asked. "I am just passing through," the stranger replied. "But I needed a place to rest." The villagers nodded. They didn't ask any more questions. But Lucy was different. She couldn't stop thinking about him. His words from the night before stayed in her mind. When he said she reminded him of the forest, calm and beautiful, she felt something inside her stir. It was as if he understood her in a way no one else ever had. Later that day, Lucy went back to the forest. She wanted to think about the stranger and what he had said. As she walked among the trees, she noticed something strange. The markings on the tree she had seen the day before were glowing faintly. Lucy stopped and stared at them. She reached out to touch the trunk, but the glow disappeared. "What is happening?" Lucy whispered to herself. She looked around, but everything seemed normal. The birds were singing, and the wind was blowing gently through the leaves. Still, Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that something unusual was going on. When she returned to the village, the stranger was sitting by the well. He was looking at the sky, lost in thought. Lucy walked up to him slowly. "Hello," she said softly. The stranger turned and smiled. "Hello, Lucy." "How do you know my name?" Lucy asked, surprised. "I heard the villagers talking about you," he replied. "They say you love the forest." Lucy nodded. "Yes, I do. I spend most of my time there." The stranger's eyes lit up. "That is wonderful. Tell me, have you noticed anything unusual in the forest?" Lucy hesitated. Should she tell him about the glowing markings? She wasn't sure if she could trust him yet. "What do you mean?" she asked instead. The stranger leaned closer. "Sometimes nature speaks to us in ways we don't expect. Have you ever felt like the forest is trying to tell you something?" Lucy's heart skipped a beat. His words matched exactly how she felt. "Yes," she admitted. "Sometimes I feel like the forest is alive, like it has secrets to share." The stranger smiled again. "You are right. The forest is alive, and it is wise. If you listen carefully, it will teach you many things." Lucy wanted to ask more questions, but the stranger stood up. "I must go now," he said, "but we will talk again soon." Lucy watched him walk away. She felt confused but also excited. Who was this man, and why did he seem to know so much about the forest? Over the next few days, the stranger became a part of the village. He helped the farmers in the fields, shared meals with the families, and told more stories about faraway lands. The villagers grew fond of him. They liked his calmness and kindness. But Lucy noticed something others didn't. The stranger always seemed to be watching her. Whenever their eyes met, he would smile, as if he knew something she didn't. One evening, Lucy decided to follow him. She saw him leave the village and head toward the forest. Her curiosity got the better of her. Quietly, she followed him, making sure he didn't hear her footsteps. The stranger walked deep into the woods. He stopped near the tree with the markings. Lucy hid behind a bush and watched. The stranger placed his hand on the trunk and closed his eyes. To Lucy's amazement, the markings began to glow again. This time, they shone brightly, lighting up the entire area. "What are you doing?" Lucy blurted out before she could stop herself. The stranger opened his eyes and turned to her. He didn't look surprised to see her. "I thought you might come," he said calmly. Lucy stepped forward. "What is this? What are these markings?" The stranger sighed. "This tree is special. It is a doorway, a connection between our world and another." Lucy frowned. "Another world? What do you mean?" There are places beyond this forest, the stranger explained. Places that exist in harmony with nature. This tree is a guide. It shows those who are ready the path to these places. Lucy's mind raced. She wanted to understand, but it was all so strange. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because you are special, Lucy," the stranger replied. "You have a bond with the forest. You can hear its whispers. Not everyone can do that." Lucy felt a mix of fear and excitement. "What should I do?" she asked. "For now, nothing," the stranger said. "Just keep listening to the forest. It will show you what you need to know." With that, the stranger turned and walked away, leaving Lucy alone with the glowing tree. She stared at the markings for a long time, trying to make sense of everything. Finally, she touched the trunk one last time. The glow faded, and the forest returned to its usual quietness. Lucy went back to the village, her mind full of questions. She wanted to tell someone about what she had seen, but she knew they wouldn't believe her. So she kept it to herself. The next few days passed quickly. The stranger stayed in the village, helping wherever he could. Lucy tried to act normal, but she couldn't stop thinking about the glowing tree and the stranger's words. She visited the forest every day, hoping to see the markings again, but they remained dark and silent. One afternoon, as Lucy sat by the stream, she noticed something floating in the water. It was a small wooden box. She picked it up and opened it carefully. Inside was a note. The handwriting was neat and unfamiliar. It read, "To the one who listens to the forest, be patient. The answers will come when the time is right." Lucy's hands trembled as she held the note. She looked around, but no one was there. The forest was quiet, as if holding its breath. That evening, Lucy showed the note to the stranger. He read it silently, then nodded. "It seems the forest is preparing you for something," he said, "but I cannot say more. You must wait and see." Lucy felt a mixture of hope and frustration. She wanted to know what was happening, but she trusted the stranger's words. She decided to be patient, just as the note had said. As the days turned into weeks, life in the village continued as usual. The stranger became a familiar face, and Lucy spent more time with him. They talked about the forest, nature, and the mysteries of the world. Lucy learned many things from him, but she still had so many unanswered questions. Then, one stormy night, everything changed. A loud crash echoed through the village. Lightning lit up the sky, and the wind howled fiercely. The villagers huddled indoors, scared of the storm. But Lucy felt drawn to the forest. She grabbed her coat and ran outside, ignoring the rain soaking her clothes. When she reached the forest, she saw something incredible. The glowing tree was brighter than ever, and the stranger was standing beside it. He waved at her to come closer. "It's time," he said. "The forest has chosen you." Lucy's heart raced. "Chosen me for what?" she asked. "You'll see," the stranger replied. "But first, you must step through the doorway." Lucy hesitated. She didn't know what lay beyond the tree, but she trusted the stranger and the forest. Taking a deep breath, she placed her hand on the glowing trunk. Chapter 3. The Storm's Secret. Lucy placed her hand on the glowing trunk, and suddenly, everything changed. A bright light surrounded her, so bright that she had to close her eyes. She felt a strange warmth spreading through her body, as if the tree itself was alive and welcoming her. When she opened her eyes again, she wasn't in the forest anymore. She stood in a place unlike anything she had ever seen. The air sparkled, and the ground beneath her feet shimmered like water. Tall trees with silver leaves stretched high into the sky, and their branches glowed faintly in the darkness. The wind carried a soft hum, like a melody she couldn't quite understand. Lucy looked around, her heart pounding with both fear and wonder. "Where am I?" she whispered. "You are in the heart of the forest," the stranger's voice said behind her. Lucy turned to see him standing there, calm and smiling. "This is a place few have ever seen, a hidden world within the forest." Lucy's mind raced. "Is this another world?" she asked. "In a way, yes," the stranger replied. "It is a place where nature speaks clearly, where its secrets are revealed. Only those who truly love and respect the forest can enter here." Lucy took a step forward, her eyes wide with amazement. "Why did you bring me here?" The stranger looked at her seriously. "Because the forest has chosen you, Lucy. You have a special bond with it. This place will teach you things that will help you protect the forest and your village." Lucy didn't fully understand, but she nodded. "What do I need to do?" "For now, just listen," the stranger said. "Let the forest guide you." As they walked deeper into this magical place, Lucy noticed small lights floating around them. At first, she thought they were fireflies, but when she looked closer, she realized they weren't insects. They were tiny, glowing creatures. They danced around her, brushing gently against her skin. Each touch sent a warm, soothing feeling through her body. "These are spirits of the forest," the stranger explained. "They watch over this place and guard its secrets." Lucy reached out to one of the glowing creatures, and it landed softly on her hand. It felt like holding a drop of sunlight. "They're beautiful," she murmured. "They trust you," the stranger said. "That's why they appear to you." As they continued walking, the stranger pointed to a large stone in the middle of a clearing. The stone was covered in the same markings Lucy had seen on the tree, but here the markings glowed brightly, forming shapes and patterns that shifted and changed like flowing water. "This is the Heartstone," the stranger said. "It holds the wisdom of the forest. If you listen carefully, it will speak to you." Lucy stepped closer to the stone. She placed her hands on its smooth surface and closed her eyes. At first, she heard nothing. But then slowly, she began to hear whispers, soft, gentle voices that seemed to come from all around her. The voices spoke of life, growth, and balance. They told her stories of how the forest had grown over thousands of years, how it had survived storms and droughts, and how it had always found a way to heal itself. Tears filled Lucy's eyes as she listened. She felt connected to the forest, in a way she never had before. It was as if the forest was sharing its soul with her. When she opened her eyes, the stranger was watching her. "Do you understand now?" he asked. "I think so," Lucy replied. "The forest is alive. It needs care and protection. And I'm supposed to help." The stranger nodded. "Yes, you are its guardian now. But remember, this is not just about the forest. It's about your village, too. What happens to the forest affects everyone." Lucy thought about the villagers, their fields, their homes, their lives. She realized how much they depended on the forest, even if they didn't always appreciate it. "I'll do my best," she promised. The stranger smiled. "Good. Now, it's time to go back." Before Lucy could ask what he meant, the bright light returned. In an instant, she was back in the real forest, standing in front of the glowing tree. The storm had passed and the rain had stopped. The forest was quiet once more. Lucy looked around, half expecting the stranger to be there, but he was gone. She touched the tree's trunk, and the glow faded. For a moment, she wondered if it had all been a dream. But the memory of the Heartstone and the glowing creatures felt too real to forget. Over the next few days, Lucy spent even more time in the forest. She felt different now, as if she carried a secret weight, but also a new purpose. She watched the trees, listened to the birds, and paid attention to every detail. She began to notice things she had never seen before. For example, She saw how some plants grew stronger after the storm while others struggled. She realized how important it was to keep the forest healthy and balanced. One morning, as Lucy walked through the woods, she found something unusual. A bird lay on the ground, its wings wet and tangled with leaves. It chirped weakly, unable to fly. Lucy knelt down and gently picked it up. "Don't worry," she whispered. "I'll take care of you." She brought the bird back to her cottage and placed it in a small box lined with soft cloth. She gave it water and food, speaking softly to it every day. Slowly, the bird regained its strength. After a week, it flapped its wings and looked at Lucy with bright, grateful eyes. "You're ready to go home," Lucy said with a smile. She carried the bird back to the forest and released it into the air. It circled above her once before flying away, disappearing into the trees. As Lucy watched the bird vanish, she felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Helping the bird reminded her of the promise she had made, to protect the forest and everything in it. But her journey was far from over. One evening, as Lucy sat by the stream, she heard a sound she hadn't heard in weeks, the voice of the stranger. It came softly, almost like a whisper on the wind. "Lucy, there is still much to learn," the voice said. "The forest will show you more, but you must be brave." Lucy stood up and looked around, but no one was there. "What do you mean?" she called out. "Where are you?" There was no answer, only the rustling of leaves and the gentle flow of the stream. Lucy sighed and sat back down, her mind racing with questions. What else did the forest want to teach her? And why had the stranger disappeared again? That night, as Lucy lay in bed, she thought about everything that had happened. She had seen a magical world within the forest, met glowing spirits, and touched the heartstone. She had promised to protect the forest and her village, but she knew there was still so much she didn't understand. Little did she know, the forest had one more surprise waiting for her, a challenge that would test her courage and determination. Chapter 4. A Test of Courage. The next morning, Lucy woke up feeling uneasy. The stranger's voice from the night before still echoed in her mind. "There is still much to learn, but you must be brave." She didn't know what it meant, but she felt a strange pull toward the forest, as if it was calling her back. After breakfast, Lucy put on her coat and walked to the woods. The air was crisp, and the sun filtered through the trees, casting golden light on the ground. As she stepped deeper into the forest, she noticed something unusual. The path she usually took was blocked by fallen branches and thick vines. It was as if the forest had changed overnight. Lucy stopped and looked around. "What's happening?" she whispered. Suddenly the wind picked up, and a soft voice spoke to her. It wasn't the stranger's voice this time. It was the forest itself. "Lucy," it said gently, "you have been chosen to protect me. But first, you must prove your courage." Lucy's heart raced. "How?" she asked. "What do I need to do?" The forest didn't answer right away. Instead, the ground beneath her feet began to tremble. The trees swayed and the leaves rustled loudly, even though there was no wind. Then, a narrow path appeared between the fallen branches and vines. It led deeper into the forest, toward a part Lucy had never explored before. "This way," the voice whispered. Lucy hesitated. She wanted to turn back and run home, but she remembered her promise, to protect the forest and her village. Taking a deep breath, she stepped onto the path. As she walked, the forest grew darker and quieter. The cheerful sounds of birds and animals disappeared, replaced by an eerie silence. Lucy felt her heart pounding in her chest. She clutched her coat tightly, trying to stay calm. Finally, she reached a clearing. In the middle of the clearing stood a large, twisted tree. Its branches were black and gnarled, and its roots spread across the ground like claws. The sight of it made Lucy shiver. Something about the tree felt wrong, as if it didn't belong in the forest. "What is this place?" Lucy asked softly. "It is a scar," the forest's voice replied. "A wound caused by those who do not respect nature. This tree is poison to the forest. If it is not removed, it will spread and destroy everything." Lucy stared at the tree. "How can I remove it? It looks too big." "You must use your courage," the voice said. "Touch the tree and trust in yourself." Lucy swallowed hard. She didn't feel brave, she felt scared. But she knew she couldn't give up. Slowly, she stepped closer to the tree. Her hands trembled as she reached out to touch its rough bark. The moment her fingers touched the tree, a sharp pain shot through her arm. She gasped and pulled back, but the tree seemed to grab her hand, holding her in place. Black smoke began to rise from the trunk, wrapping around Lucy's arm like a snake. "Let go!" Lucy cried, struggling to pull away. But the tree's grip was strong. The forest's voice spoke again, calm but firm. "Do not fight it, Lucy. Face your fear. Only then can you overcome it." Lucy closed her eyes and focused on the forest's words. She thought about all the times she had helped the forest, planting flowers, caring for animals, listening to its whispers. She thought about the glowing spirits and the heartstone, and how the forest had trusted her. She wasn't just Lucy anymore. She was the forest's guardian. With a deep breath, Lucy opened her eyes. She placed her other hand on the tree and whispered, "I'm not afraid of you." The tree shuddered. The black smoke thickened, but Lucy held on tightly. She could feel the tree's anger, its resistance, but she refused to let go. Slowly, the smoke began to fade. The tree's bark cracked and crumbled, falling to the ground like ash. When the last piece of the tree disappeared, the clearing filled with bright light. Lucy fell to her knees, exhausted but relieved. The forest's voice returned, softer this time. "You have done well, Lucy. You faced your fear and proved your courage. The forest is safe because of you." Tears filled Lucy's eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'll keep protecting you. I promise." The light faded, and the forest returned to its usual peaceful state. Birds began to sing again, and the air smelled fresh and clean. Lucy stood up and looked around. The twisted tree was gone, and the clearing was now filled with green grass and colorful flowers. As Lucy walked back to the village, she felt different. She felt stronger, braver. She knew she had passed a test, but she also knew her journey wasn't over. The forest still needed her, and she was ready to help. When she reached the edge of the woods, she saw the stranger waiting for her. He smiled when he saw her. "Well done," he said. "You have proven yourself worthy." Lucy nodded. "But there's more, isn't there?" The stranger's smile faded slightly. "Yes, there is always more. The forest has many secrets, and not all of them are easy to understand. You will face more challenges, Lucy. But remember, you are not alone. The forest, the spirits, and I will always be with you." Lucy felt comforted by his words, but she also felt a weight on her shoulders. Being the forest's guardian wasn't just about protecting trees and animals, it was about making sacrifices, facing fears, and standing up for what was right. That night, as Lucy lay in bed, she thought about everything that had happened. She had faced a twisted tree, overcome her fear, and saved the forest. But she knew there were bigger challenges ahead. What would they be, and how would she prepare for them? Just as she was drifting off to sleep, she heard a faint whisper. It wasn't the forest or the stranger, it was something new. A soft, melodic voice called her name. "Lucy," Come to the stream tomorrow. Bring the wooden box. Lucy sat up, wide awake. The wooden box? She murmured. She had almost forgotten about it. After finding it in the stream weeks ago, she had kept it in her room, unsure of its purpose. Now, it seemed, the box was important again. Chapter 5. The Wooden Box's Secret. The next morning, Lucy woke up early. She couldn't stop thinking about the whispers she had heard the night before. Come to the stream tomorrow. Bring the wooden box. What did it mean? And why was the box important now? She found the small wooden box on her shelf and held it carefully. It was plain and simple, but something about it felt special. She remembered finding it floating in the stream weeks ago. Inside, there had been a note that said, "To the one who listens to the forest, be patient. The answers will come when the time is right." Now, it seemed, the time was right. Lucy put on her coat and walked to the stream. The sun was just rising, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The air was cool, and the sound of flowing water filled the silence. When she reached the stream, she stopped and looked around. No one was there. Not the stranger, not the glowing spirits. Just the forest, quiet and still. She knelt by the water and placed the wooden box on the ground. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the box began to glow softly, just like the markings on the tree had done. Lucy's heart raced as she opened it slowly. Inside was a small crystal. It sparkled in the sunlight, casting tiny rainbows on the ground. Lucy picked it up carefully. As soon as she touched it, a warm feeling spread through her body. She closed her eyes and listened. The forest's voice spoke to her, clearer than ever before. "Lucy," the voice said, "this crystal holds the essence of the forest. It is a gift for you, a reminder of your bond with nature. Whenever you need guidance or strength, hold the crystal, and I will be with you." Lucy opened her eyes and stared at the crystal. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'll keep it safe." As she stood up, she noticed movement out of the corner of her eye. It was the stranger, standing quietly by the trees. He smiled when he saw her. "You have done well, Lucy," he said. "The forest has chosen you as its guardian, and now you have its greatest treasure." Lucy nodded. "But what happens now?" she asked. "Will I see you again?" The stranger's smile softened. "That depends on you," he replied. "I am here whenever you need me. But remember, Lucy, you don't need me to guide you anymore. You have everything you need. Inside you, the forest, the crystal, and your own courage will always lead you." Lucy thought about his words. She realized he was right. Over the past weeks, she had faced her fears, protected the forest, and learned so much. She wasn't the same person she had been before. She was stronger, wiser, and ready to face whatever came next. "I understand," she said. "Thank you for everything." The stranger nodded. Then, without another word, he turned and walked into the trees. Lucy watched him go, knowing she might never see him again. But she didn't feel sad. Instead, she felt grateful. He had taught her so much, and now it was her turn to take care of the forest and her village. Lucy returned to the village, holding the crystal close to her heart. She didn't tell anyone about it. Not yet. Some things were meant to stay private, at least for now. Instead, she went back to her daily life, helping the villagers, tending to the forest, and listening to its whispers. Over time, Lucy became even more connected to the forest. She noticed things others didn't: the way the leaves changed color, the patterns in the wind, the hidden paths between the trees. She shared her knowledge with the villagers, teaching them how to care for the land and respect nature. Slowly, they began to see the forest the way she did, as a living, breathing friend. One day, as Lucy sat by the stream, she held the crystal in her hand and smiled. She thought about everything that had happened. The glowing tree, the twisted tree, the spirits, and the stranger. She had faced challenges and grown stronger because of them. She knew there would be more challenges in the future, but she wasn't afraid anymore. The forest's voice spoke to her one last time. "Thank you, Lucy. You have made me proud." Lucy closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you, too." From that day on, Lucy lived happily, knowing she was doing what she was meant to do. She protected the forest, cared for her village, and kept the crystal safe. And whenever she needed guidance, she held the crystal and listened to the forest's whispers. The forest was alive, and so was Lucy. Together, they would always thrive. The end. This concludes the story of Lucy and the forest. It teaches us to love and protect nature, to face our fears, and to trust in ourselves. Even though the journey may be hard, the rewards are worth it. Lucy's story reminds us that we all have the power to make a difference, if we listen, learn, and believe.